Later that evening, back at Yi Tian's apartment, his younger sister, Yi Yu, warmly greeted him. Big bro, what took you so long? Where did you go? Yi Tian awkwardly scratched his head as his sister nervously checked to see if he was injured, but he insisted that he was completely fine. He then turned towards Yi Yu with an excited expression. I brought back some gifts for you. Seeing that Yi Yu was impatient to find out what he brought back, Yi Tian immediately took out the various treasures he obtained from the Wild Zone exam. Yi Yu's eyes sparkled with surprise. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. You finally have enough to get married, bro. Flustered by her response, Yi Tian angrily replied, what the hell are you talking about? This money is for you. Use it for your tuition and future. Really, brother? That means we can finally eat meat every day from now on. Picking up the flask of strange water, Yi Yu curiously asked what it was. But Yi Tian, just as confused as she was, pointed at an illustrated book he had just bought, which showed a list of treasures and information about them. Flipping through the pages, they both intently stared at the various treasures pictured in it. At that moment, Yi Tian's eyes widened in surprise. This is it, the Terra Core Elixir. It turns out that it can be used to improve cultivation talents below the mid-tier level, and is only formed after absorbing the primordial key of heaven and earth for hundreds of years. Yi Tian fell into deep thought. That viper from back then must have been able to become a monster by using the Terra Core Elixir. I never thought that something I collected so easily would turn out to be such an overpowered item. Without hesitation, Yi Tian immediately handed over the Terra Core Elixir flask to Yi Yu. Surprised by this, Yi Yu asked her brother why he wasn't keeping it for himself, but Yi Tian indifferently replied, I don't need it anymore, since all of his talents were already at the mid-tier level. It would be a waste on him. He then stared at Yi Yu with a domineering gaze. Instead, I will make you stronger. Drink it, Yi Yu. Shocked by his sudden demand, Yi Yu's lips quivered. What? Why me? Yi Yu shouted so loud that it seemed like the entire apartment building residents could hear her. You want me to drink it? But I haven't even awakened my talent yet. Plus, it might end up being wasted on me. Yi Tian put his hand on his chin while pondering. Since my sister's talent is only low tier, there will surely be an improvement if she drinks the Terra Core Elixir. But the real question is, how big of an improvement will there be? Interrupting Yi Tian's state of deliberation, Yi Yu cheekily suggested, oh right bro, we can just sell it. Such an amazing item would definitely be worth a ton of money. However, Yi Tian immediately disagreed. The book said that there could also be a terramordial stone at the place where the elixir was found. But since I've already destroyed that place, if I tell the buyer I don't have the stone, they might not believe me. So in the end, it would only make them want to kill me for the stone. Yi Yu sighed deeply. Why did you have to destroy it? What a shame. Waving the flask in front of Yi Yu, like a carrot on a stick, Yi Tian smirked. If you don't drink it, then it would be an even bigger shame. Not giving her any time to react, Yi Tian forcefully pinched her mouth open. Help, my brother is trying to kill me. Moments later, the Terra Core Elixir flask was laying empty on the floor. As Yi Tian comforted Yi Yu, asking her how it tasted, a pleasant energy began revolving around Yi Yu's body. Wow, it feels so warm and comfortable. However, Yi Tian narrowed his eyes in confusion. What's going on? Her cultivation talent still says low tier. Could the book be wrong? As soon as he closed the system interface, Yi Yu was already sitting on the sofa, sleepily rubbing her eyes. Big bro, I'm so sleepy. I'll make dinner after I take a nap. Yi Tian thought to himself, how strange. Let's wait for a bit more now. Maybe the elixir just hasn't taken effect yet. Later that night, while Yi Tian was peacefully cultivating, his gaze suddenly shifted towards his sleeping sister. What's going on? I sense such powerful waves of talent aura being emanated from her. The system window above Yi Yu began intensely shaking as waves of talent aura surrounded her. Looking at Yi Yu's newly updated status window, which now displayed a mid-tier cultivation talent, Yi Tian was utterly shocked. Mid-tier? It increased by 2 tiers? A mid-tier cultivation talent, on top of a rare frost talent, Yi Yu will surely become a top-ranking martial warrior in the future. Holding the luxurious-looking flask of monster blood in his hands, Yi Tian's eyes gleamed with a hint of determination and rage as he thought about the biggest priority at hand right now. Bring it on, Mo Xiaobei. I will never lose to you. The gloomy moonlight was shining through the gray clouds. Yi Tian was vigorously chugging down the monster blood. Reaching his hand out to a plate of snacks, Yi Tian remarked, damn, this blood tastes even worse than the one I had before. Oh well, at least I can eat peanuts now to help with the taste. As he sat down cross-legged, he pondered, I wonder how much of an improvement the mid-rank monster blood can bring to my cultivation speed. While practicing the body training technique, Yi Tian's eyes widened in surprise. Damn, my cultivation speed has increased by 8-fold. To think that the effects of mid-rank monster blood are this terrifying. If I can obtain enough blood, I may even be able to break through to the martial warrior realm within 1 month. Looking at the flasks on the floor next to him, Yi Tian sighed in disappointment. It's a pity that there are only 2 bottles left. What should I do? In what seemed like mere moments, 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Yi Tian was peacefully cultivating deep in the woods of the 5th Academy, as Fatty nervously began running towards him, panting out of breath. Yi Tian, what should we do? Pointing his hand behind him as if somebody was behind him, Fatty began anxiously saying Mo Xiaobei's name. Not giving him a chance to finish his sentence, Yi Tian stood up abruptly and asked Fatty if Mo Xiaobei was here, but Fatty shook his head as he explained, no, no, that's not it. He secluded himself and is attempting to break through to the martial warrior realm. I told you that there had to be a reason why he didn't come to screw with you yet. He must have wanted to become a martial warrior before finding you for his payback. Oh, so he's just in seclusion. I thought he came to challenge me. Seeing Yi Tian's relaxed demeanor, Fatty shouted at him with indignation, "You bastard, why are you sitting down again? You should be freaking out." But Yi Tian closed his eyes as he thought to himself, I've looked at Mo Xiaobei's talents. His cultivation talent is mid-tier as well. It'll probably take a month before he can become a martial warrior. Fatty then continued, if he really does successfully break through, killing you would be like squashing an ant. But Yi Tian continued peacefully sitting cross-legged, unconcerned by Fatty's warnings. Yi Tian, Mo Xiaobei belongs to an immensely wealthy and powerful family. You can't compare. All you have are just those 3 bottles of monster blood which you've already finished, haven't you? Hearing this, Yi Tian awkwardly grinned, seemingly not understanding his dire situation. That's right, I did use them up already. At that point, Fatty had already completely lost hope for Yi Tian. It really is over. As your good friend, I'll make sure to collect your corpse, and I'll take good care of your sister too after you're gone. Ignoring Fatty's dramatic performance, Yi Tian began contemplating, the only thing I have left now is the Viper monster's low-rank blood and the blood of its heart. After I use them all, I could probably reach the advanced martial apprentice rank. Although it's only one small step away from the martial warrior realm, I still won't be able to finish my breakthrough. However, with my speed talent and sword talent, I definitely have the strength to stand toe-to-toe with a full-fledged martial warrior. Meanwhile, in the illustrious Mo family estate, there was a large 2-meter thick steel door, which was the entrance to a seclusion training room. Multiple cracks began forming on the door as a rumbling sound seemingly spread throughout the entire mansion. At that moment, the door crumbled into pieces and a man with an ominous red aura began walking out of the training room. Young master, congratulations on your promotion to the martial warrior realm. Mo Xiaobei stood there, looking like a god of death as his servants all chanted simultaneously, long live the young master. A few moments later, as Mo Xiaobei's maids were humbly dressing him with his garments, his father walked into his chambers with a satisfied expression on his face. You've finally finished your seclusion training, my little Xiaobei. It appears that you've succeeded in your breakthrough to the martial warrior realm. As expected of my son, it turns out that his father, named Moen, is at the mid-stage of the elite martial warrior realm and is one of the 10 great elders of the Mo family. He cheerfully patted his son on his shoulder, congratulating him on his successful breakthrough. Mo Xiaobei confidently responded, you need not worry, father, I would never bring dishonor to the Mo family name. However, at that moment, Moen's expression became serious. That goes without saying. Also, the great ancestor himself said that he will reward you personally. Mo Xiaobei earnestly bowed. I thank my father and the great ancestor for all the teachings and support that I have been blessed with for all these years. Watching his father's receding figure, Mo Xiaobei turned to his bodyguard with a cold gaze. Have you finished the task I entrusted to you before I entered my seclusion? Of course, young master, that brat Yi Tian has no parents nor any type of backing, so we can deal with him however you want. Walking towards his outdoor pool, Mo Xiaobei chuckled. Oh ho, so he's just a piece of trash with no background. I thought that he was backed by some formidable forces. Then, with a look of absolute arrogance and disdain, Mo Xiaobei glanced towards his bodyguard. Since this isn't the case, just have someone kill him. Upon hearing this unreasonable demand, his bodyguard became unsettled. Young master, the Linhai base is completely different from the wild zones. If we were to carelessly kill someone, even with how powerful the family is, it would be troublesome to deal with the aftermath. Mo Xiaobei's lips curled into an evil smile as he began pouring himself a glass of wine. I never said to kill him using the Mo family's name. Just get a shadow assassin to do it. No one will be able to trace it back to us. But commissioning a shadow assassin would cost us at least 1,000,000 yuan. Is that hobo brat really worth the money? Hearing this, Mo Xiaobei's eyes became as cold as ice. A servant is a servant after all. You still think like a poor peasant. With how large the Linhai base is, there are still only a few long-lasting families, and everyone else is practically just subjects of enslavement. Do you know why that is? It's because whenever a prodigy emerges among the peasants, we immediately nip them in the bud by killing them. His bodyguard's eyes flashed with a hint of realization, so the Fifth Academy was not created for nurturing talent, but was instead. Seeing that his bodyguard understood, Mo Xiaobei's face distorted into a malevolent smile. The strong prey on the weak, this is how the world is supposed to be. Meanwhile, back in the forest of the Fifth Academy, the sound of a sword lacerating the atmosphere could be heard, as Yi Tian was vigorously practicing his sword skills. He leapt up into the air with a bestial look in his eyes, and effortlessly slashed a giant boulder into pieces. Breathing a sigh of fatigue after finishing his intense training, Yi Tian gazed up at the sky. Looks like it's about to rain. I should head home now. A few minutes later, amidst the stormy skies and pouring rain, Yi Tian was casually strolling through the city on his way back home. However, out of nowhere, he suddenly stopped as his copy talent detected a player's status window above a nearby power line, but to his surprise, not a single person could be seen there. Yi Tian had a grim expression on his face, confused by what he was seeing. What is that thing up there? But before he could continue continue thinking, a notification suddenly sounded as his system window appeared. Lee Kun, low tier cultivation talent, novice tier shadow talent. The system window suddenly began flickering as a murky black energy began rapidly descending towards Yi Tian. Yi Tian's eyes immediately flashed, sensing the impending danger, and sure enough, a sword suddenly appeared from what seemed like thin air and Yi Tian sharply managed to block it. Gazing at his assailant, Yi Tian's eyes narrowed with a murderous glare. Who are you? Surrounded by a murky green aura, the man coldly smirked. I am the one who will be taking your life. A sudden realization came over Yi Tian. Wait, could he be an assassin hired by Mo Xiaobei? But Mo Xiaobei has already become a martial warrior, so he can easily come fight me himself. Why would he resort to using such an underhanded method? Without giving him any time to continue thinking, Lee Kun, the assassin, swiftly leapt into the air and stabbed his sword towards Yi Tian, which he managed to once again block. Damn, he disappeared again. It looks like this shadow talent is the type that can make its user invisible. As he was still preoccupied by his thoughts, Lee Kun took advantage of this and immediately appeared behind Yi Tian. A static red energy flickered around Yi Tian's body, and he quickly dodged with the help of his speed talent. Lee Kun gritted his teeth in frustration. Damn it, how is a mere martial apprentice so fast? At that moment, Yi Tian was already on the counterattack, startling Lee Kun with his astonishing speed. Yi Tian slashed his sword at Lee Kun, but it seemed like he was cutting a mirage. He went invisible again. This talent would be incredibly hard for an ordinary person to deal with, but against me, it's absolutely useless. Being able to see Lee Kun's status window with the help of his copy talent, Yi Tian caught him off guard and landed a devastating sword attack on Lee Kun while he was still mid-air. Lee Kun's entire face showed a look of complete disbelief, as his body violently crashed onto the floor. Impossible, even an elite martial warrior wouldn't be able to see through my talent. Tell me, how did you do it? Yi Tian slowly walked towards Lee Kun, radiating a ferocious aura. You wanna know? Then answer me first. Who sent you? Reaching his hand towards his dagger, while trying not to be suspicious, Lee Kun calmly responded, fine, I'll tell you. However, as soon as he saw Yi Tian let his guard down, Lee Kun immediately lunged towards him with his dagger in hand. I'll tell you when you're on your last breath. Shadow Blade. Yi Tian narrowly dodged his surprise attack, and in what seemed like only a few milliseconds, he instantly appeared behind Lee Kun with his sword plunged deeply into him. I'll ask you again, who sent you? Ha, you are the strongest martial apprentice I've ever met. Bravo, bravo. Alright, I'll tell you, it's Mo Xiaobei. Upon hearing this, a dead silence fell over the rainy alley for what seemed like a few minutes, as Yi Tian solemnly stood there, with a gaze so dark that even his facial features seemed to be consumed by darkness. Staring into the distance with a menacing look, Yi Tian muttered Mo Xiaobei's name with an ice-cold voice. He then reached out his hand towards Lee Kun's body, and upon making contact with him, a swirl of murky green energy began surrounding him. As Yi Tian slowly stood up, like a devil that had been asleep for 1,000 years, his system notification sounded, shadow talent copying, successful. With his newly updated status window, now displaying the addition of a novice tier shadow talent, Yi Tian proudly spoke, your shadow talent is mine now. A few hours later, deep in the mountains, the skies were still roaring with thunder, which illuminated Lee Kun's corpse each time the lightning flashed. Yi Tian was dutifully burying Lee Kun's body, as he earnestly knelt by the tomb he had just created for him. A human shouldn't be content with being swatted and blown around by the rain and wind, like a fallen leaf. Instead, I, Yi Tian, will live my life, the way a man should. In a world like this, I will be the rain and wind, and never the fallen leaf.